Hey, welcome. It's Brian, and normally I'd be doing guitar solo reactions, but today I thought it'd be fun to kind of talk about pedals. I buy and sell a lot of pedals, and I noticed that Reverb does this every year, or maybe it's through the year, I'm not exactly sure, but for 2023, they kind of go through their best selling pedals. And kind of, I thought it'd be fun to talk about those, show you some of my new acquisitions, and maybe my pedal board. And if that kind of thing's interesting to you, that's kind of where I'm going to be doing a little more content on this channel, is talking about gear and pedals and playing and stuff like that. So, anyway, on this list from Reverb, if you haven't checked it out, it's kind of fun if you're a pedal kind of guy like me or a gal. Uh, we are basically what they do is take everything out that's exclusive to Reverb, and they kind of break it down into best releases, and then I think they also do brand new pedals. And what we're going to start with, though, is the best selling pedals that were released in 2023, so last year. And some of these I know, some I won't, so that's kind of the fun part. And I'm going to kind of culminate this by just showing you some kind of cool things that I've gotten this year, or last year, excuse me, and kind of maybe talk about those a little bit. So on this list of pedals released in 2023 is the Strymon Cloudburst Ambient Reverb. I think they're moving to a smaller format, Strymon is, and that's just kind of their, is it Blue Sky or one of those bigger format reverb pedals. I have had a few Strymon pedals. It's just too deep for me, the learning curve, and I just want to turn some knobs and kind of get to that point. That sounds good. So Strymon's a little too, I don't know, tough for me to figure out. The next is the EHX Nano Lizard Queen Octave Fuzz. That's a collaboration between JHS and Electro Harmonics. I watched lots of demos on that, but that's not something that really appealed to me, so I didn't really check too far into that. So I don't know much about it, except the demo sounded interesting, but I think the fuzz is fixed. And I think I could be wrong, but maybe kind of can mess with the octave part or something like that. So anyway, the next is the Earthquaker Devices White Light Legacy reissue. Not sure what that is. If you know any of these, and chime in, please. I definitely know what it looks like. Next is the Electro Harmonic Slapback Echo reissue. I'm assuming it's just an older, kind of cool, shorter delay kind of pedal. I'm not very familiar with that. And then one I definitely don't know is the Karma ODR 10. I've never heard of that till just now. Next is Keeley Super Andy Timmons mod Signature Overdrive. That's super popular. I have tried that. I liked it quite a bit, but I didn't buy it. I was just kind of borrowing it, and so I didn't like it enough to buy it. But I guess when we're done with this little thing, I'll talk about some of my chasing pedals this past year a little bit. Next is the Fender Shields Blender, which I believe is like a reissue maybe of the Fender Blender. Is that it? Not sure. Next is the Wampler Germanium Tumnus, which I was gonna buy. It's basically a germanium version of the Tumnus. That is, I think it's a clone, but because of the germanium chip, or sorry, the transistor, those sold out very quickly, and instantly that first batch, which was, I don't know, a couple thousand, was instantly gone. And you see them on Reverb now for about $500, when initially they were maybe 200, maybe a little bit more, maybe 230 or something like that. And that's one of those ones I was going to jump on, much like the new Boss IR-2, which those are back ordered for months, and that's the next pedal I want, is that Boss amp simulator pedal that's in the kind of Boss format, the traditional Boss format. I'm looking really forward to that because it's $200. and or less. Hopefully, in about a couple of months, you'll start seeing them go for sale, and people won't be trying to gouge people for it. I'm not going to buy it for more than $200 and hopefully less. So, anyway, next on the top 10 of the pedals released in 2023 is the Peterson Strobe Mini. I love their stuff. I actually don't have that tuner on my board. I do have the app on my phone, which I do use, but that might be kind of fun to check into. And I'm going to put, maybe I'll right here put a picture of my pedal board. I actually have the volume pedal, the Ernie Ball volume pedal with the tuner in it. And it has been good so far. It hasn't broke or anything like that. And I kind of wanted to get rid of my other tuner simply for more space, because I have a Voodoo Power 2 power supply. I don't know. I think that has 8 outs on it. And then I had to buy another 4 kind of place power unit to strap on the bottom as well. So I've got 2 power supplies, and I'd love to down the road kind of condense that all to one. But my point is, I just needed the space. So the next is the Electro Harmonics Walking on the Moon Andy Summers signature. That I've never heard of. I'm assuming it's either a Memory Man delay or a chorus pedal. I'm going to click on it so see what it says. Yeah, oh, it's a flanger with a filter matrix. Not sure what that does, but I always thought Andy did more chorusing than flanging. I could be wrong. Anyway, that's kind of cool. So anyway, that's the pedals from 2023. I haven't owned anything on this list that I can see. Yeah, I haven't bought any of those. Next, we have overall best-selling pedals of 2023. I'll definitely have had many of these. And funny enough, we're going to start, and it's the Boss DS1. I've had one. It's been many decades. And then number 2 is the Boss Blues Driver. I don't think I've ever had that. Probably a great pedal. Next is the Keeley Compressor Plus. Nice. I mean, I know he sells a ton of those, but I've never had a compressor. It seems intriguing. Like, that's the pedal I'd probably buy if I wanted to do it. I just never kind of got to that point where I wanted to use a compressor or thought about it that much. So next is the Line 6 HX Stomp. Those are great sounding. Not my kind of thing. I've tried some of the multi-effects units, and they're either the best ones obviously are too expensive, or the ones I've gotten just, I don't know, too many parameters, and it does a lot of stuff okay and not a lot that is amazing. So I'd rather just kind of have fun with pedals. Next is the Strymon Cloudburst. We talked about that. That's that smaller, I believe, format Strymon that kind of came out. Next is a pedal I've had many times, and I'll show you my board again at this point, is the MXR Carbon Copy. I think it's my favorite analog delay. And I was using a Dunlop Echoplex. I like that one, but the MXR just, I think, sounds for me the best. Next is the Procro Rat 2. I might have had one of those a long time ago, but yeah, not my thing. Digitech Drop, that's just a cool, I think, it's like a whammy variant, but I don't know if you set the thing or if it's maybe for a tuning thing. I don't know exactly what that one is. Hologram Electronics Microcosm. That's a really cool company. I know what this thing kind of does, or I've seen some run-throughs on it, but that's probably not something I would buy, but it sounded cool. Next is the Strymon Iridium. Kind of blanking on what that one is. Next is the Boss SD1. That's the Super Distortion. That's pretty cool. Oh, Greer Lightspeed Organic Overdrive. That one has been on my list. I have not bought that, but it might be one of those I need to try out. Strymon Big Sky Reverb. I've definitely had that. Sold it. Did a lot of great stuff. Just like I said, maybe a little too complex for me. Next is the Ibanez TS9 Tube Screamer. I love Tube Screamers. I bought a bunch of Boss pedals and Maxon pedals recently and sold them. All like the Super Distortion in Maxon and a few others just to kind of try them out. But I love Tube Screamers, and one of the longest pedals I've had on my board is the Love Pedal Eternity 9, which is kind of a high gain version of his Eternity pedal. And I've had that on my board. It's the first pedal I actually bought from quote unquote a boutique pedal maker. And that was many, many, many years ago. And now that isn't the original one I bought. I've kind of loved them so much I'd buy one if I saw them used and send it to a friend or any other players I knew that played guitar. And I've got two, one as a backup, and some other stuff by him. So anyway, that's my Tube Screamer. Love Tube Screamers. Next is the Dunlap Cry Baby. I think that's maybe their standard version. I have the Baby Cry Baby, the mini version. It's ridiculous, but like I said, I didn't have enough room to put a bunch of stuff on, so I was trying to maximize it. And it's also the one with the auto shut off. That's not as cool as I thought. I mean, you just have to get used to it, but I still don't like the kind of shifting from your normal tone, and then it's not a delay depending on how you use it. If you get used to using it, I'm sure it kind of goes away, but there's this kind of lull in between both tones. So that's its downfall, I guess, but I think you can work your way around it. Next is the TC Electronic Ditto Looper. I have one. I've had one. I've had many of them. I've even thought about getting the bigger one, but I don't know. I just haven't. So I've had that on my board for a long time, probably since they came out. Next is the JHS Morning Glory. I've never had that. I probably wouldn't try it. I'm glad it's popular. I love JHS pedals, as you'll see. But yeah, never that. And then the next we have the Universal Audio FX Dream 65 Reverb amplifier, which they've done this whole line of like a Marshall, a Vox, a Fender, and maybe one other. But those are really promising and look really cool. But like I said, I'm holding out for that Boss IR2, the smaller one. And at the very end, this one's kind of interesting, is the Boss GE7, which is their graphic EQ. So that's really neat. I've never had a graphic EQ on my board. It probably would be a smart thing. But so there you go. Those are the pedals that were used and the most sold in 2023. And then it has some best-selling new condition pedals. It kind of looks like quite a bit of the same thing, actually. There's the IK Multimedia Tone X. That's their kind of stomp kind of deal where it's multi-effects. The Eventide H90 Harmonizer, that I would like, but again, kind of a little too much probably for me. And then a cool one in here is the MXR Duke of Tone. MXR has done, if I'm correct, this is a mini, or maybe it's their standard size. They've done a lot of cool emulations of other pedals or amps and stuff that are pretty popular, people. So with all that said, I wanted to culminate and say the thing that I do with pedals a lot, I'm always looking for high gain pedals or overdrives. It's my favorite thing. During the pandemic, I got into fuzz, and my first real fuzz that I bought during the pandemic was the JHS, the Bender. And so that sent me down this whole thing about benders and fuzz faces and those kind of early editions of fuzz. I don't really have them on my board as much now, but I'll point to one that I do have. And so I've kind of grown to love fuzz. A long time ago, I had a bunch of Skin Pimp fuzz pedals. Those were great. Screddy, some of those, but I just never kept them because it's not that I'm bragging, but I probably have had 500 or 600 pedals that I've tried and sold. And I kept very few. I don't collect them till kind of now. Now's the most I probably ever have had in the last year. But over 2023, I bought and sold probably 20 pedals as well. So, if not more, actually. So, I wanted to just kind of culminate this whole thing and say, here's some really cool standout pedals that I really liked this year, and some things I haven't even plugged in yet. So, one of the cool ones is this guy, the B Electronics, and it's called the Nectar, and it has a fuzz and then an overdrive channel kind of thing. And I love the fuzz. I think it's got a lot of clarity, it's got a lot of gain, and for what I wanted in a fuzz, this really holds up. So I love that. This guy here. It's way smaller than I thought it'd be. And they're pretty popular stuff. They have that Royal Jelly overdrive fuzz. I might buy that because I'd love to try more of their stuff, but it's got that bigger format. And for the longest time, I never, unless it was really special, went over like $200. I do, however, have like some stuff that I knew would be special. Like I have a JHS bender back there that's Josh he puts some together occasionally, and I thought it'd be fun to buy one of those. And then I have the Boss tone bender as well, and I was lucky to get a few of those when those came out. I sold a couple of them, and I'm keeping one, and that's kind of the one pedal I bought that I knew would be worth more money down the road, and I didn't predict that it would be worth so much basically before it even came out. So anyway, that was a really nice kind of win for me for once, because most of the time I buy a pedal, I consider it that I'm renting it essentially, and I get to try it out, pass it on to the next person, and I don't know if it's goodwill or not, but I never make money on them. It's rarely I break even on it. So, and so I also wanted to move on to a pretty new pedal maker, at least in my mind, and that's Lichtlerm. And I have bought, this is the King in Yellow, which is kind of a tube screamer. Really cool. I love the design. Lots of functionality built into it with all the knobs. Here's the Ritual, another kind of doomy, kind of more of a fuzzy version pedal. This one is the Medusa, which is like an HM2 kind of thing. And as you can see, it's got a lot of parameters on it. And then the last one I got is the Genna, and that's just kind of like a super high gain thing. The only thing about this pedal, when they're two like this and it's a small format, I just can't really make that work. So these will not go on my board like if I were taking it around like to rehearsal or gigs, because they just have these small, really, I won't say they're fragile switches, but I've had pedals like this with the switches on it like this, and I just know I would like break them off, and they're just too cool looking pedals to kind of put on a board. So these are more of like, I'm just buying it because I love how they look and how they sound. They will not go on my board. And kind of last but not least, I finally bought a whammy pedal. I found one for pretty cheap, and it was it's not new condition, but it looks in great shape and way cheaper than a new one. And so I am planning on putting this on my pedal board, but as some of you may know, any of these things that pull more current need their own like wall wart or really special power supply, and I got to check more into it. But at 9 volts and 1300 milliamps. Yeah, most power supplies I don't think go that high, or at least mine don't. So it does come with the wall wart type thing or that little power supply. So if I were to put this on my board, then I have to find a place to plug that in. So what I might just do is, put it on the side or something, give it a shot because I'm really interested in checking it out. Um, so yeah, there's kind of my thoughts on pedals from 2023. If you have any questions, I'd love to answer some. I don't know tons about, I definitely have opinions. I've definitely tried a lot of pedals. And what I will say in conclusion, on my pedal board now, I'm going to look really quickly. I've got a lot of gain, or I used to have more, but I have like the Riot Mini, which I actually like better than the Soar Riot Standard. And I've had that one many times. And I have come to the conclusion that it's fun to try stuff out, obviously, but there's nothing that will ever beat just like a high gain amp. And I have like an MT15, which is a pretty high gain amp. That thing sounds great. None of the pedals get exactly there. They're always a variation of it and always leave me wanting. The closest I've got of recent is this, the Beatronics Nectar. And then I really liked the Licklearn Gana. That one was great. I definitely liked the kind of the King in Yellow. That was great too. And this one I've yet to really put on my board to try out, the HM2 kind of thing. So anyway, I think its pedals are great and they're really fun. That's how I see it. I've got quite a few pedals now in my collection. Like I said, I wasn't much of a collector before. I would just have a board, and whatever I wasn't using, I would sell and move on, no matter what, which was a huge mistake in a lot of ways because I had a lot of collectible things over the years, but I just kind of passed them on. I'm Brian. I appreciate you watching this, and hopefully it's kind of fun. I'd like to kind of get a dialogue going about pedals. If you have any ideas or any thoughts, I'd love to hear them. So thank you. Bye.